Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's Postgrad Insight session. Today's session is brought to you by the University of San Diego School of Law. We'll be taking you through the next 30 to 45 minutes, covering everything there is to know about the LLM courses, specifically around what it is you need to do to apply, what opportunities there are when you're studying there. In addition, there will be a very short Q&A at the end of the session. Now, if you have any questions, any concerns, any issues, reminder that today's session is live. If you're watching on demand on YouTube, if you're watching on LLM Study or any other platform, please send your questions through to webinars@postgradsolutions.com, and we will endeavor for those conversations and questions to reach Feline and Justin and the rest of the team. But for now, I'd like to hand you over to Feline. She'll be taking you through the next 30 minutes. I'll be back for the end. Over to you.
Hello, my name is Felina Fleck. I am the Assistant Director here at the University of San Diego School of Law, Office of Graduate and International Programs. That's a whole long sentence, but we are here to talk about our LLM program. I am in charge of recruiting, finding the best students for our program. That's why we are here today. Just a quick little fun fact about the university. Just last year, we celebrated our 75th anniversary. We are a private Catholic university, and the School of Law was established in 1954. Here on campus, you are able to be as heavily or as little involved in any religious practices as you wish, but we do have a beautiful cathedral here on campus. Our law school educates about 800 plus law students per year. That includes the JD, which is the first law degree in the US, and the LLMs. Within our LLM degree, we have several different areas to study LLM, different areas of concentration. Today, we are here to mainly talk about the LLM in US law, which is specifically designed for international students that have not studied the US law system, since it is a little bit different than most other parts of the world. And yeah, that's what we're here for today. I am joined by Dr. Justin Brooks, our academic director. He is a professor at our law school. He is the founding director of the California Innocence Project and the author of You Might Go to Prison Even Though You're Innocent. And if you take one thing away from today's session, it is that you should read his book because it is phenomenal. Justin, I'll bring it over to you to say any other words you'd like to add.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for hawking my book. I didn't expect that. But no, I'm very happy to be with you all today to talk about all our different programs. We have a very exciting law school. We also just recently won Most Beautiful Campus in America, which is worth mentioning because it is a very, very nice place to be.
Very true. Quick overview of what Justin and I are going to kind of talk together about today is the LLM program. For the LLM in US law, we have two versions. We have an on-campus and an online version. So we'll talk a little bit about the differences there, what to expect out of each. Then a little bit about the LLM program timeline, when it starts, when you can apply, all that fun stuff. And then we'll have a few details about our application and questions about scholarships, loans, all that. Not so fun, but important stuff. So we'll start with our LLM in US law on campus and then get to our online portion. Here's a beautiful picture of our law school building, Warren Hall School of Law. And I'll just start talking a little bit about the campus program. We offer the LLM in US law for 25 credits. There are only two required courses, the Intro to US Law and Legal Writing and Research. One of them, the Intro to US Law, we designed kind of for our international students to get caught up with the US law system, kind of a short course. It doesn't go the full semester, just to get everyone up to speed, level the playing field for all the other classes that you do take with JD students. So that's kind of just to bring you up to speed and kind of a crash course in US legal system. And then legal writing and research is something required by the California Bar Association that we make sure we teach to all of our students, because a lot of them do want to take the California Bar afterwards. the remaining 21 credits after you've taken these two classes, you can choose completely freely. We have a great array of classes you can choose from. You can earn a concentration in an area if you want. You can choose different classes from all areas of law just to get a kind of overview, dig into some area of law you haven't really experienced before. Anything is up to you. We have these areas of concentration within the LLM in US law, which means you'll end up having a degree LLM in US law and a certificate of concentration. You can do business and corporate law, criminal law, environmental and energy law, intellectual property, international law, or taxation. And you only have to have 10 credits in any of these areas of concentration. So you still have about 8 or 9 credits left with doing a concentration to still do any other classes that sound fun to you or that focus on bar preparation. We will move on to US law. I will hand that over to Justin, who is our expert in that. He does teach in both the online and on-campus format, so you have a good chance of running into him no matter which program you choose.
Yeah, so the LLM and US Law Online, the idea of this was to make our LLM accessible to people who may not live in San Diego, or also may work full-time. We've designed it around people's full-time schedules so that the classes are in the evening. It's 24 credits. There's actually no elective courses currently in it because what we've done is we've put all these students together in one group and we've put into the program all the basic courses that are on the multi-state bar exam, which is the test you have to take in every jurisdiction in the United States to pass the bar. We've also added ethics to this course, professional responsibility, because that's required to sit for the bar, and also intro to US law, just like the on-campus program. So it's basically 3 semesters starting in the summer, and in the first portion taking intro to US law, taking professional responsibility, and then we have legal research and writing, evidence, which I teach in the fall, civil procedure and contracts. And then in the spring, we have torts, property, criminal law, and constitutional law. So it's really all about taking the gut courses from a JD program, and it's basically all the courses that are on the multi-state. It's designed so students are eligible to sit for the California bar. If students are interested in other state bars, they need to check those regulations out because every state has different rules in terms of the bar, but that's the idea of the program. So classes basically run Monday to Thursday, either 5 to 7 or 5 to 8. And they're taught by a combination of law professors like myself who teach in JD programs and some practicing lawyers. And that's a basic overview of the program.
Great. Now that we've kind of got that high-level overview out of the way, Justin, what can you say teaching in both online and in-person format? What do you think is a big difference between the two experiences for the students?
Well, I mean, San Diego is one of the nicest places in the world. So people coming to San Diego, it's a great place to live. We have the best weather in the world. We have a beautiful campus. You know, you can integrate yourself into the campus and to the life of the campus. And so I think that's a fundamental difference. Whereas the online program is really mostly lawyers who are practicing, working, have families, have jobs, can't get away, unfortunately, for the luxury of spending some time on campus and really enjoying that life. But it's interesting teaching online because there are some benefits to online education that I think aren't apparent to people until you teach both. So, for example, I have more than 100 students in my criminal procedure class on campus, and actually it feels more intimate and more sort of connected with my students online because we keep the LLM program much smaller and the classes are smaller. So I think the students actually get less lost in a way. It's funny, I get to know my online LLM students better than my students I see in person because I just have so many of them. And it's, online it's an amazing tool. It's clearly where the future is going. And I think this generation particularly has gotten used to it. I remember when my son was going to Berkeley, I would complain that he would miss classes and just watch them online. And I thought, what are we paying tuition for to be on campus if he's watching them online? But it's kind of become the way a lot of people learn. So they're very different experiences, same courses, same kind of education in terms of substantive material. It just depends on what you can do and what you want to do with your time.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Thanks, Justin. I will move on to a little more of the administrative part of when to apply. In the fall semester, we'll start in mid-August and the spring semester in early January. This is for the on-campus option. We do admissions twice a year, spring and fall, and the online LLM starts in the summer. Now, the campus program goes for about 9 months from August till the following May, where the summer program goes from summer till May, so almost 12 months time. So the candidates usually complete the degree in 1 year if you're doing it full time, 1 year and 9 months, depending on which program you choose. The campus F1 students must be full time for the F1 visa status. And all full-time applicants for the on-campus program are automatically considered for a merit scholarship, but that is only for on-campus full-time students. You can apply to all of our programs, whether it's online or in person, through the LSAC website. The llm.lsac.org will take you to the LLM application portal. I have some application deadlines here, a QR code to our application checklist on our website. And now I wanted to come back to Justin, go in a little bit of a dialogue about what to expect, what students can see here on campus. I know we already mentioned University of San Diego is a beautiful campus, #1 by Princeton Review this year, always in the top 2 consistently. Justin, what do you think is one of the most fun things to do in San Diego that is not connected to studying law?
Well, I live at the beach. So I moved to California from Michigan, and I decided if I was moving to California, I was living at the beach 25 years ago. So I actually spent a day in every beach community and then decided I wanted to live in Ocean Beach, which is 10 minutes from campus. It's a beautiful it's kind of a time capsule of 1960s California, surfers, hippies, little cottages, beach life. So San Diego is just a beautiful place to live. It's one of the safest cities in the United States. It's always in the top 5 safest large cities in the US. We have a great mix of Latino culture and American culture because we're right on the border, and a large percentage of our population are Latino. So I believe we have better. I'm in Mexico right now, actually talking to you, and I believe we have better Mexican food in San Diego than than a lot of parts of Mexico. Oaxaca has better food than we do, but than a lot of parts of Mexico. So it's just a great place to live. Lots of outdoor activities, lots of hiking, biking. I think I saw at the last Olympics we had more Olympians in San Diego than any other city in the world. I think there was some crazy stat I saw once that San Diego would place in the top 10 in the Olympics if they listed them by home cities, because so many people come here to train because we have year-round good weather. So yeah, it's a great city. You can have a city life living downtown. You can have a desert life if you want to live out in the desert, and you can have a beach life. It's one of the few places in the world where within our county you can have a 30 to 40 degree difference in temperature, which took a while for me to get used to. But yeah, so it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Remind me, Justin, do you surf?
Have not been out since COVID. I used to surf every day, and I need to paddle back out there. Somehow, as the older I get, the colder the water gets. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like that.
I totally agree. My choice of beach sport is volleyball. That seems a lot warmer than surfing,
Mhm.
but I know a lot of our students love to surf. A lot of students go surfing in the morning before classes. A lot of people that work in San Diego surf before work. I've not ever been to a city that has so many showers in any business offices just because so many employees love to go surfing before work and then go straight to work. So I think that is a great part of this culture. I myself was born and raised in Germany, came over to the US to study after high school, and it was only supposed to be a bachelor's degree. And then I kept on studying and kept on working and have not left. I did not start off in San Diego. I just came to San Diego 3 years ago. I did the Master's of Science in Law degree after having studied business. And I it took me a while to find this amazing climate down here. I always thought growing up in Germany, there was a lot of rain, especially where I'm from, not too much hot summers. And so I really wanted to live somewhere that I could not find in Germany or most parts of Northern Europe or Western Europe that are as nice and beautiful for the weather here. And another thing that really attracted me to San Diego was it being such a border state to Mexico. Being from Europe, I was always very interested in international law and going between America and Germany a lot, figuring out, how the whole world works in that way and all the treaties and international agreements that all build kind of the foundation of how our world works. And in Europe, especially, we don't have those strict borders around Germany, at least. There's no non-US, non-EU state bordering us. And so living down here by the border to Mexico, which is such a prominent border, really interested me in diving into that international law. So Justin, I know you're in Mexico right now. You practiced law here in the US, in California, in this border region. Can you touch a little bit, tell us about that experience compared to you lived in the West, East Coast, Michigan? How is this flair of law different here?
Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to move here is we're on the Mexican border. I actually grew up, spent a lot of my childhood in Puerto Rico, in the Caribbean, and so I've been around Latino culture my entire life. And ever since I've been in San Diego, I've been doing cross-border activities. I'm down here today training lawyers on how to do trials. Mexico transitioned to a trial system about 10 years ago. They didn't have trials for 400 years. And the problem with the transition has been that people don't know how to do trials. So the University of San Diego has been for a long time coming down to Mexico and doing trainings. And we have a lot of relationships with basically all the universities in Mexico, and we do a lot of exchanges. We bring Mexican law students and lawyers on campus to USD. And one of the great things about the law school is it really has a sense of where it is on the planet. That, where, a lot of times people think all law schools are the same in the United States. And I think there's some truth to that, in that the American Bar Association kind of dictates the curriculum and the bar kind of dictates curriculum. And it's true that we teach a lot of the same classes that they teach at any other law school in the United States, because that's sort of just set up as they're all very similar that way. But what's different about us is, or at least one of the things, is that we recognize where we are on the planet, and we're a border law school. And so we feel a responsibility, and it also really enhances our lives to have relationships with universities and lawyers and legal organizations on the other side of the border. I mean, San Diego and Tijuana, in a lot of ways, are just one large city if you look at it on a map, with a wall going through the middle of it. But we're all collected here at this point on the globe for a reason. And then there's geopolitical issues that separate us, and we try to bridge those as much as we can, and really have a welcoming environment at the law school.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. That's something that really drew me here. And I know from my firsthand experience, a lot of the classes touch a lot on those international border issues that you would not touch on if you were a law school situated in the Midwest, because even things like um, energy law or environmental law or negotiation, all of these classes that don't inherently talk about international law or border issues, the topic just inherently gets woven into the class just because of where we are, what our professors have experienced, how they grew up, and I think it just really enhances the whole experience and helps you think about all areas of law in different ways than maybe more traditional situated law schools.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's it's part of our daily life. Just yesterday, I was talking at dinner with a lawyer down here about the Tijuana River and the issues we have with water between San Diego and Mexico. So it's real. It's not hypothetical. It's you share a border, you share waterways. And so the environmental policies of Mexico and the environmental policies of the United States directly impact both communities. And so we don't live in a bubble where this stuff is just theoretical. It's real and it impacts all of our lives.
exactly. And I think you can have a really good immediate impact living in the city here, learning the law and knowing it's not some abstract concept that someone somewhere decided and now we're learning about it, but it's the actual issue here that people are in real life, real time, trying to find the answers to and discussing that in the classes and being able to go there and actually see the issue firsthand, I think is just a very unique experience that I would not want to miss. Have one last slide, just kind of covering some of our frequently asked questions for our scholarships and funding. We have some partnership universities for scholarships that have individual agreements. So I encourage you to look at your own law school's website or where you studied previously if they have any agreements with us. That should be listed on their website. We have a merit scholarship, as I mentioned before, for our on-campus program that full-time students are automatically considered for. We have international student scholarships. For example, Postgrad Solutions does an LLM study bursary. And just we have a list of resources on our websites for scholarships international students can apply for. It does not go through USD, but it's a great resource to check because especially the on-campus moving, possibly across countries can be very costly. So we always try to find all the resources we are able to give to our students. And then we have student loans, which for our campus program, again, we have federal financial aid for US citizens, permanent residents, and eligible non-citizens. That will be unique to every situation to figure out. Some loans for international students. So there is anything we can do to help with any way we can make this possible for you. We are very happy. Feel free to reach out anytime with any questions. And yeah, we are very excited to see anyone on our campus. And now I'm excited for our questions.
Superb, thank you. And also, Justin, thank you as well. I think I've hosted many webinars over the last few years, and I thought it was fascinating to hear your take on the fact that actually you're in a border city, and there's not many. You're right. There's not many law schools or universities around the world that I say have that luxury, but ha have that kind of location. So I thought it was a fascinating insight into exactly what the university does in Mexico to help train potential lawyers, especially with the changes that have taken place in the last 10 years. What I want to talk about to begin with is the location, but also to do with online. One of the students mentioned what are the differences between doing an online degree and a campus-based degree? Now, obviously, you've got the obvious difference between living in the great city of San Diego. But will it affect their employment opportunities in the future? Will it affect their resume? Because there's this old age myth almost that by studying an online degree, it doesn't have the same standing and therefore will impact your career long term. Is that right, Justin? If I can come to you on that?
Yeah, no, it is the same degree. They would have the same degree and same notations on their diplomas. Our online students are welcome to come to graduation in person with all the rest of their class. The only distinction is that some state bars are yet to accept it. And again, it's sort of like online education is kind of a new thing, even though some of us have been doing it for a long time. The law moves slowly. So states like California fully accept it. So if someone did our LLM online in US law, they're eligible to sit for the California bar exam. But if they're interested in doing another state, they need to look at that state's rules and see what they say about it. So in terms of employment, in terms of resume, in terms of all that, it's the same degree. Obviously, the experience is different. Also, the cost is different. The actual cost of tuition, because we don't have a lot of the costs associated with students being on campus, makes the tuition significantly less for the students who are doing it online.
And Justin, just keeping on the theme of that kind of border law school, we're seeing a significant increase in the amount of Latino speaking countries actually now offering courses that are fully English, which is helping students in kind actually apply for courses and further their studies and perhaps go places that they thought they could never go to before. How's that impacted, would you say, in particular Californian law schools, given how close you are to the border? And do you think as a result of that, there are certainly more Mexican and Latino country speaking countries as well that have moved to the US because of that?
Yeah, we have the growth in the Latino population in universities has been tremendous. It's the fastest growing portion of our
Is.
population. I, for 25 years, ran the California Innocence Project that litigated cases of innocent people in prison. And I would always have to go out and recruit law students who spoke Spanish. And I remember putting ads out 25 years ago saying, I need Spanish speaking students to help out on these cases with, and now it's, 30, 40% of the students can speak Spanish. So we've seen a tremendous change at the university level. And a lot of people are sort of second, third generation Latinos. A lot of their parents came and, were working in the fields, and now their kids have gone on to college and university and law school and are professionals. So there's certainly been a major demographic change, and there's nowhere that's more apparent than Southern California. It's really been part of our communities for so long. You also don't have the sort of xenophobic fear of Latino population that you see unfortunately in some portions of our country and parts of our politics, because Latinos have been part of our community for generations in San Diego and here along the border. So there's a very different sense of all of that.
Excellent. And Feline, if I can come to you at this point, because I want to keep on the kind of nationality theme, because obviously for yourself coming from Germany, heading over to the States, obviously it can be daunting. It's a totally different culture. But everyone that you speak to that visits San Diego, never mind studies there, comments on the relaxed nature of the city. It's a humongous city, but it doesn't feel like that kind of big city vibe where you get lost in it. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have lived in Idaho and Indiana as well, and it was a very different experience, to say the least, from here. This town is really, people describe it as still like a surfer town from the feel, and that is exactly what it's like. You have everyone super friendly, super relaxed. This is where people come to live. I always like to kind of compare it to LA because we're so close. LA is busy, everyone's trying to get ahead, hustle and bustle, stressful vibe. And then San Diego is where people come to live, to relax, to enjoy life. And that is exactly what you feel. Everyone's just super happy to be here, super relaxed, enjoying life, and that's the most important part here.
Super. And talk to me about the cosmopolitan and obviously the multinational feel of the law school. You're going to have, presumably because of what we've just discussed, a huge amount of nationality studying at the law school, making it probably very easy for any student from all over the globe to settle in because they're not having to worry about, do they speak the same language as me? Do I need to come from a different culture? Am I going to fit in? I think there's probably going to be quite a few different cultures there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the LLM program is you don't only come here to study with Americans and learn about the American culture, but there's like 10 to 12 different nations represented in each LLM starting class. And you get to meet people truly from all over the world, from China to Saudi Arabia to India, South Africa, all of Europe. It's really, really interesting to get to know people from everywhere, learn about the legal systems, learn about what they're here to gain from the LLM. We also have some international JD students. And what I think is cool about our program is the LLMs take the classes with the JD students. So you get your own little cohort of LLM students that do kind of the few LLM design classes together. We do like social happy hour things through our office to really create that feeling of an LLM cohort. But in your classes, you go out and have the classes with the JD students. So you get a lot of the American culture that a lot of people are coming over here to experience, but you get so much more, a lot of Latin America culture. And then, yeah, just really, it's really, truly a melting pot in the best sense of the way.
And Philly, just keeping with you as well. One of the students have just asked on the actual platform here about the English language requirement level. Obviously, that goes hand in hand with the very multicultural amount of students that you guys have got. But presumably, if their English language is not up to scratch, you'd like to think most of the time it will be. But if it's not, do you offer any kind of course or any kind of program that would help them get to the required level?
We do have an English language academy here on campus. They have their own tuition associated with that, unfortunately, so it is combined with a certain cost. But it would be a great way to move to San Diego, come out here, take that time to really focus in on the English language skill, and even just being in the city for a while. I mean, there's no better way to learn a language than to live in a country where it's spoken and you're just exposed to it all the time. So I think that would be a great way to prep for it, but it would incur a few more costs than just the LLM side of everything.
And just the last couple of questions as well. First of all, when are your intake dates? Obviously, there's always some ambiguity around when students can actually join. Does it have to be a September start date? Can it be, January now? Can it be immediate if it's online? And if it is immediate and online, do you still use the same amount of credits as you would if it was a face-to-face course?
Yeah, so the credits I believe are similar, not always exactly the same. We have our on-campus program that starts in August or January. Either of those work. The January start date for this semester has passed. All the classes are locked in with the students, but you can join fall or spring for online. The summer for on campus, you can start spring or summer. For online, oh my gosh, spring and fall. Why am I messing everything up? But for the online, we start once a year in the summer, and that is because we do start with two classes that are kind of introductory to US law, and then we dive in to the more in-depth legal classes, and we also like to create somewhat of a cohort for the online students. They go through the classes together, they see familiar faces all the time. They can come to graduation if they would like to and get that feeling of having completed the year. So we typically start online admissions in the summer to create a cohort feeling.
Okay, excellent. And finally, Justin, I'll give you perhaps the last word on this. One of the most popular questions that we get throughout is what career opportunities, employment opportunities do students have post graduation? So they come over, do their LLM. Do they stay in San Diego? Do they go back to their respective countries? What is there on offer in San Diego once they graduate?
Well, I mean, to be an attorney in the United States, you have to pass the bar. So it's sort of, there's this licensing requirement that a lot of students come so that they can fulfill that and get a license. And then a lot of doors are open, as many as to any other attorney in the United States. And, the needs obviously shift in terms of different fields of law. Right now, immigration is not surprisingly a very hot area of law based on things you may have seen in the
Yes.
news. Um, Other people, want to learn more about US law because they work for companies that do a lot of business in the United States, and they want to learn how contracts law works in the US, how civil procedure works in the US, how torts law works, so that they can enhance their skills for the company that they're working for. So some people will bring that back to their home country, or the reverse, they're coming from a jurisdiction that's helpful that the US does a lot of business with, and now they'll have the combination of what they're bringing from their country plus what they're learning to stay in the United States. It's a pretty good legal market currently in the United States, much better than when I got out of law school, for example. There was there's always an ebb and flow of whether, less people going to law school when there are no jobs, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of jobs, and then people going to law school. So it kind of goes up and down, and also with the economy. But sure, there's absolutely opportunities to stay in the United States and work. I mean, Filene sitting there is an example of that. Someone coming from Europe and ending up staying in the United States. I know in Britain, for example, where you are, there's been a lot of challenges because I teach in Britain in the summers, with barristers and the cut in pay for criminal barristers that's gotten dramatically low. And there's a good book on that called The Secret Barrister. And a lot of people I've talked to in Britain have thought, well, if I go to the US, I can get a US law degree, I can pass the bar there, and actually the wages are significantly higher,
Yeah.
like double, triple what a lot of criminal lawyers are making in the UK. So it depends where they're coming from, what the opportunities can be, what their prior education is, and what their life
Sure.
goals are. But
And,
there's
and, and
certainly
I'm,
opportunity.
I'm pleased you mentioned the bar exam again because I think that's been one of the biggest changes in US law, especially when it comes to the academic side of things. There's so many states now that offer a bar exam, and for example, California, the bar exam is probably number two now in terms of students what they're looking for on our website, behind the New York bar exam, which is always popular, of course.
Mhm.
But the evolution of that and how students now have every opportunity to go on and not just study at your law schools, but do the bar exam there and then move to other states and use that experience and use that knowledge that they've got. And it has good standing as well. So
Mhm.
I want to finish on that note. So thank you very much, Justin. Thank you, Feline. A really good session. Anybody watching that has had any more questions, and there have been a couple of other ones around funding and scholarship as well. I'm keen not to open that kind of worms on here. We will reach out to you after the session. We have, as do University of San Diego School of Law, have all your details, and we'll reach out to you soon. But Justin, Felina, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again later on in the year, potentially. Thank you.